to the 40k Fireside podcast, where we discuss everything to do with competitive Warhammer 40k with your hosts Vic VJ and David Gaylord.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to the monthly show where we talk about a range of different topics rather than deep diving. And this is going to be the November version, so we're going to be chatting about the meta. We've obviously got WCW coming up. We've got a bunch of stuff coming up. I've got a bunch of stuff coming up as well, and Fireside has got a bunch of stuff coming up. Before we talk about that, how are you doing, Vic? You all right?
Oh, Dave, it's good to be back for our kind of podcasty show.
Yeah.
I really like these, man. We got such a good reception for bringing this back. So I'm hoping people enjoy this because I think it is something that we do that's kind of a little different from what's out there. So yeah, if you guys want this kind of high level advice about the game, the discussion, the analysis, which can be applied to any level of the game, then yeah, absolutely, you're in the right place.
Yeah. I mean, this is what we started doing when we started the podcast. The only difference is that we have video cameras on now.
True.
And better audio. That's awesome. A couple of updates on Fireside. If you're not, by the way, 50% of people that watch this are not subscribed, so we are terrible at reminding people. So if you've got 5 seconds, just hit subscribe on YouTube. It really helps us out. Or drop a comment. But yeah, we've got the on 40kfireside.com. We have the Combined Arms Masterclass done by Mr. Nassim Fouchain himself. We did like a mini one that's like £15. And then I got Ennis Wilson to come and do Grey Knights, which is the Warpbane Task Force with the Storm Raven. So if you want to learn how to play either of those, I mean, I got the two best players in the world on those ones on that as well. And then this Sunday, we've got the first inaugural Fireside event. We've got the Fireside Throwdown. Well, it's not the first inaugural one. It's the first IRL one because we run events on our Discord. If you're not a member, you can join the Discord member tier where we run events, and we've got 3 teams in the Try Hard event right now. So there's always stuff going on there. But this is the first time we're coming together running an event in collaboration with Bad Moon Cafe, our good friends at their shop at Holloway Road, which is awesome. We're going to have tons of prizes, which is going to be awesome. It's a 16-player RTT 3-rounder. I've got Mechanized Guard. So I was like, you know what? I need to get back to my roots a little bit. Take something that's like not too top end powerful, but you know, maybe bring out the Triple Vanquisher again and play some Mechanized Guards. And I've actually redesigned the UKTC maps as well to kind of fix some elements of it as I see fit. So some of them have got some changes to kind of help balance some things, and I've taken a stab at the Sweeping Engagement map. That's a lot more funky as well. So I hope people enjoy playing on those maps a little bit different. And yeah, we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, you know, do you remember when you first started looking into Mechanized Guard, Dave? You got so excited about these Ogryn coming out of these transports. Is that still a big part of the list?
That's still a big part. So 9 Ogryn, baby.
Fantastic.
9 Ogryn, 30
go.
Gassican. In fact, I'm actually playing, because Ignite's playing in the Vaisla online tournament, the Swedish league, and we've actually just paired against Team Sweden-esque because we've got JSJ Jonathan from the captain of Team Sweden who we're pairing against, and I'm actually playing Mechanized Guard in that as well, so I'm playing the same list. But yeah,
dude, there's a lot happening here, a lot of online community growing here, so no, I'm loving to see that, and I'm very excited to see how that Fireside RTT goes.
Nice. But recently we just played Coventry, and that was a tournament. We both did deep dives on our lists and what we were playing, of course. You were playing Eldari, I was playing Raven Guard for the first time. How was the 2-dayer? How many people were in that?
Yeah, dude, there was about 200 people, which I think is... Oh, no, not 200. Yeah, I think it might be like more like 100 in the 2-dayer. So it was a little smaller than it was in the previous years.
Yeah, that's smaller, I think, than when I won it like 4 years ago.
Yeah, I've been doing the 2-dayer every year since then. And I think this might be the smallest one, but I could be getting that number wrong. But overall, you know, there was still 2 undefeated. So there were 2 undefeated and 5. So I think it is about 100 people. And no, it was really cool. I always enjoy kind of just playing that tournament, only doing 2 days. I know the 3-day is the much more competitive one, in my opinion. And you obviously went through all of your very challenging games. Both of our videos were really interesting, Dave. I think they both got really good feedback, and there is a lot of, because we did both of them on the public side rather than normally where we put them on the member side. I think a lot of people found some useful information about that. I
Yeah.
get so many messages about people asking me, why do you have this little bit of Eldari in your list? Why do you have these units? And in that video, I do quite a deep dive into the list, but there's an even bigger deep dive on our member side.
Were you a fan of Azerman and the Dire Avengers at the end of the day?
So the description that I've read online, which I really like on the Fireside Discord, was he's aggressively fine. And I would agree with that. He's aggressively fine. I would argue he's pretty overrated, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what? That unit is decent, Dave. And I
Yep.
think if you look at it mathematically, it's actually pretty poor.
Yep.
But the onboard influence of that unit is not negligible. And, we'll do a little bit more of a chat about WCW, which is coming up. But one of the pieces of tech which I really liked seeing is people running 10 Dire Avengers with Asuman, which
Wow.
gives a little bit of a hedge against these horde matchups that you can get.
Okay.
Adds a little bit more volume to the list. And actually, you know what? The overall output of that unit is not terrible for the points in Eldari. So, yeah,
Wow.
some interesting tech before Eldari gets destroyed in the next balance update.
Is that what we're expecting? We're going to come up to what we're going to wish list a little bit about.
I'd put good money on that.
Good one. I was playing the 3-day. Yeah, that was good fun. I think I ended up coming third or something like that, playing Raven Guard. I wish I'd played against Sisters before coming to the event. Obviously, just losing by 2 points against an army I haven't played against in years. So that was really interesting. I mean, I had a really tough run. I had a strength of schedule of 6.0, basically 6.0, which means that my opponents on average went 6-2, which basically means if you think a 6-2 player at Coventry is probably about a GT level winner, I basically played 8 GT level winners, more or less. So I think even my round 1 opponent went like 5-3 or something like that, which was kind of crazy. Yeah, I played a bunch of lovely great players. Played Scott from Scotland, was one of my favorite games. And I played I played Sisters like back to back to back, something like that.
Played all the Sisters players.
Well, the third game I really do want that. But yeah, had fun with the Raven Guard, and wasn't really my playstyle, if I'm being honest, because I went from playing Black Templars to playing Raven Guard, which was like 2 completely different playstyles. And when you just kind of learn that you don't enjoy something. Like I know, and I've confirmed with myself that I don't like uppy downy armies. That's just not something I enjoy, Like I don't like my opponent. I don't like the ability for my opponent to just like screen me out and I can't like drop myself down. I don't like that.
Yep.
So yeah, that's not for me, that archetype. And tried it and played it, but yeah, not for me.
Yeah, playing on the board with a little shooting threat is nice, but these Raven Guard lists are very heavily hedged into like loads of Inceptors and the Centurion Devastator, so you get a big chunk of your army which is susceptible to being deep strike blocked.
Yep.
So I completely see what you're saying. I wonder how those lists develop, because I have a feeling the Raven Guard is not as scary as we initially kind of put them down
No.
as being. I think they're
Yeah.
very, very good, but I don't think they're quite as best army in the game as maybe a lot of us were considering.
Yeah, after having played it at a big tournament, I probably don't think that it's as strong as, like, say, Eldari, for example. Like the complete package, I don't think. And I think it's definitely a lot less scary if your opponent has got experience playing into it. You know what I mean? Like, it gets a lot of leverage out of some tricks which don't really have a lot of impact, right? For example, turn 1 rapid ingress, Vect on the Combi Lieutenant, and Vanguard veterans in general, basically all trade down. Inceptors all trade down. So if your opponent just kind of goes, well, I'll like block your Centurions once, and then I'll kind of just like accept that you can jump into me if you want with Vanguard veterans and Inceptors, but you're probably just going to trade down. Then you're kind of like, okay, because your Vanguard vets die, then your Inceptors die if you play them aggressively, and then you're kind of just left with your Centurions, which can never win the game by themselves. So it's an interesting one.
It's either demolish your opponent or kind of not really do anything.
Yeah. It's I kind of like the board control-y sort of style armies as well. So that was not really something I was into or feeling, but it was super interesting. I've really enjoyed playing Space Marines. Like, we obviously just had the new Ultramarine stuff come out as well. I've really enjoyed playing each new one since it came out. So I've played like Ultramarines, and I played Space Wolves, and I played Black Templars, and then I played Raven Guard, and my Space Marine collection seems to grow by like 1,000 points every tournament that I play. So yeah, it was good fun. The Coventry was a good tournament. It was nice. It was really chill. Played Lewis Smith, our teammate, and a really cool recap there. He was on Tau. My Athan Shah one-shot his Riptide, which was really awesome. In fact, all 3 of my units killed all 3 of his Riptides the turn that I needed it to, which was pretty sweet. So, lovely game. And that was probably my highlight game. It was very tactical early on as well.
My biggest regret was actually not bringing sisters to this event.
Yeah.
Because I think this was the point. This was the inflection point of when I switched from Eldar to sisters, really. But now I've started to look into it a little bit more. I think sisters will survive the balance update better than Eldar.
Yes.
So I'm hoping there's a good chance I can kind of play through into the last phase really of 10th edition with sisters from here, because I've been really enjoying playing around with the different tech pieces here, Dave. It's a very, very well-rounded army.
It's pretty wide open. Like, there's a lot of data sheets to work with here as well, and the new kill team is bonkers good. Like, one unit of that in a Rhino is an insanely good package. I think. Like, it makes your go first win rate completely a lot higher in my opinion, and it's a fine unit going second, but your go first win percentage I think jumps like 10 to 12% probably using that. I think those Sanctifier units are really, really good. And I was going to say, Vic, I asked you if you were going to play sisters before the tournament, because I was like, you played them, didn't you play them last year in the 2-dayer?
Yeah, I did, and the year before. So I got the maths a bit wrong, because I've had a really good run at tournaments, and I thought if I go 5-0 at this tournament, I'll have 40 wins in a row.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
But actually, it was 39. So it's all gone wrong. I should have just stopped. I should have just stopped and switched. But it's all good. It's all good.
You can play a run round RTT and then drop.
But yeah, no. I mean, sisters have had a massive benefit of getting Sanctifiers and a big buff to Retributors. So both of these units are excellent, and it's allowed essentially you to have more options of building blocks for your army than you have points in your army, which is a situation the sisters haven't been in since they took the 3rd big nerf. It's only in this balance update that now you feel you can fill 2,000 points with actually good stuff all the way across, and that opens up 3 different detachments: the Champions of Fate, Bringers of Flame, and Hallowed Martyrs. And we're seeing diversity of all 3 of those detachments being played at WCW.
Yeah. I think Jonathan is playing Hallowed Martyrs. Champions of Faith in the Vaisla tournament where we're playing them as well. Jonathan's a long-time sisters player. And I think Jack obviously won with Bringers of Flame. I lost to Hallowed Martyrs. Well, I played Hallowed Martyrs 3 times. So they're obviously all very powerful, and they all each offer something a little bit differently. It sounds like Sisters list, now that they've got Retributors and they've got Sanctifiers, have just filled in that last 250 points, so it's just all thriller, no filler right now. So your list feels like 2,000 points that can actually activate without trading down in any sense. Like, every unit's got its place and time.
It's a role that has been filled in there, because at the moment you are very heavily reliant on volume of fire from your long range anti-tank, trying to slip a melter gun through. To try or use Val's unit to try and get your hard anti-tank. But now the Retributors cover a bit of the anti-elite and the anti-tank very, very nicely. They're actually a very, very efficient unit. And the Sanctifiers give you something that actually doesn't exist very much in the game at all. So that is a very powerful unit in Sisters. So I'm really excited to play around with them, and I think, Dave, we're going to be working on a little masterclass for this as well. We're going to try and make it really comprehensive, because I think there are a lot of very good building blocks and slight variations in play style that Sisters players can use to achieve a lot of success with Sisters. So I'm really excited to work on that.
I was a fan of Ash's build with the Hallowed Martyrs, with the Sanctifiers, where you can essentially, she was playing the Triumph as well, you can essentially move, disembark, and then use the Triumph Aura to get a little bit more movement, and then get +1 to charge. Then you can use, is it 1 CP to reroll hits, or 1 CP to reroll wounds, I think, in combat?
It's 1 CP unless you are below half strength, in which case you get reroll wounds as well.
Yeah, so you can disembark, flame a bunch of stuff, and then because you automatically get a 6 with the Triumph, bang an 8-inch charge minimal, and then 1 CP reroll to hit, which is really good. That's Kassakin are really good, and this unit feels like Kassakin, but actually have good melee as well.
Melee,
which is really, really good. I mean, yeah, I would play that unit in Guard, that's for sure.
Yeah, so Ash is playing it with a Ministorm Priest to get the
Mm,
sustained hits in melee, which is
oof,
it's
yeah,
really nice. So it becomes a unit that can do multiple things, and Hallowed Martyrs, the priest can get back up as well.
yeah.
So that is an excellent unit. You can put Saintly Example, get lots of miracle dice on it. But I'm seeing a bit of a mixture. Lots of people just running the Sanctifiers as a nice, cheap, early game trade up piece.
Yep.
Overall, brilliant
Get a bit of
unit.
tempo on your opponent. You know, I've never feel like Sisters have had that like unless you're playing Bringers of Flame, have never had that like aggressive play pattern where you're proactively trading into your opponent. They've kind of been like a bit of a ball control-y. Castigators have been your attrition piece, but now they've got a nice tempo piece there, which I think feels like a different element that they haven't really had from my
Yeah,
perspective.
it's a turn one threat.
Hmm.
I do think turn two, Hallowed Martyrs can get a little stuck.
Hmm.
Like they are an army which just ends up behind a wall and not quite able to get where they want to go. Very predictable, even though it's a long threat range, quite predictable.
Hmm.
So yeah, they still have that, but if an army is going to be good at doing that, you want an army to have the characteristics that Sisters has. They're
Nice.
very good at that playstyle.
Nice. So we've got, speaking about Sisters, we've got the ITT coming up, which is
Okay.
awesome. And the reason I've been mentioning JSJ Jonathan is that Jonathan's playing with us. So Jonathan's coming over from Sweden.
Nice.
We are very excited to have Jonathan come across and play the ITT. It's going to be myself, Lewis Smith, going to be Chris Radford, JSJ, and Boris Mitchev. So all five of us coming to the ITT, which is just an hour and a half north of London as well. So that's awesome.
Nice.
Really looking forward to it. I'm still up in arms. I don't know. I'm playing Marines for the team, but I don't really know what I'm going to play. I could play the Ultramarines, kind of just good stuff Ultramarines, or Ultramarine Stormlance with the 3 Redemptors and the Raven. I could play Black Templars. I could play Raven Guard, of course. I could maybe even play Space Wolves, Beast Slayer, but yeah, I mean, there's like 4 or 5 different viable builds I could do at
They're
least.
all really good. You know what's
Yeah.
very interesting? The Space Wolf Stormlance. I wonder if that actually has a good set of matchups in this meta. What do you think, Dave? Not convinced?
You know what I would say is that it's probably gotten better now that Knights have become less popular, because it actually has it doesn't have a speed problem, but it has quite a big damage problem. Thunderwolf Cavalry, for example, don't actually hit that hard,
Correct. Yeah.
but the 10 Terminator unit and Logan is and Arjax, sorry, is still like really good. I think that's a really good unit. So there might be some space relevancy for that. I mean, deep striking turn 1 with a 10-man Terminator unit, it can be really, really powerful on some of these boards. Maybe on the heavy board that could be good, because then you could deep strike onto an objective and just like lock that one down with 10 Terminators that can reactive move. Arjack gives them fight on death. So yeah, it's cool. I mean, Space Wolves are so cool as well. Like, that's the problem. It's like they have the coolest character. I mean, Ragnar went up, and I feel like he probably should have went down. Like,
Yeah.
Thanos actually played him. So yeah, good time to play Marines.
I played against Matthew McCurdy,
Okay.
who's at WCW. He's the highest ELO player in Pool 2.
Cool, nice.
And he was playing Space Wolves against me and used that tech you mentioned.
Mm.
It felt quite good. I played that in the final game, and it's on stream if anyone wants to watch Eldari versus Space Wolves there. I actually think that game is favored for the Space Wolves there. That's actually a very strong matchup.
Yeah, I think the speed element is hard to get through, and Thunderwolf Cavalry can be kind of difficult for Eldari sometimes, but on WTC
move
terrain
blocked.
it can be hard.
They can be move blocked, but like you have to use up a lot of resources to keep that process going.
Yeah, on UKTC boards you really have to move block a large part of the board, but on WTC it's actually quite easy to move block because there's usually only 2 paths, which means that if you're playing Eldari you can just, that's 10 units to move block for 5 turns effectively sometimes. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, we obviously just had the Ultramarine stuff come out recently. I did a bit of a deep dive on that. It feels like Space Marines get like just new stuff all the time, which is cool. The Victrix Honor Guard looks strong and I think primed to be playable. And I didn't realize at the time, but you can take Marnius Calgar, the original Marnius, and then you can take the new Victrix Honor Guard. Synergize the old and the new together to form the Uber Squad, which is like quite good, I think. Because
wait, you can choose between running the old or new Marnius. No, come on.
Yeah. So there's 2 data
do you
sheets
mean?
now. There's new Marnius who by himself, and then there's old Marnius who has 2 Victrix Honor Guard and Marnius. Then there's a new Victrix Honor Guard data sheet, which can attach to the old Marnius. With the
Okay,
Victrix.
guys. All right, GW.
But I mean, Company Heroes and Old Manius were already really, really good.
Sure.
But the new Victrix Honor Guard have the -1 to wound built into them. But um, they also have 2 wounds, a 2-up save at 4 wounds apiece. So you get a huge amount of wounds from the new Victrix Honor Guard for only 20 more points, but they have more damage and they give you Blood Surge. And they have a 2-up save. So your whole unit has a 2-up save now, which is interesting. And then the old Manius keeps the 4-up Feel No Pain, which I think is a big differentiator between him and the new Manius. Because, I mean, it effectively doubles his wound cap, which means that your opponent has to put 140% extra damage into him, basically.
And
so,
do you think that's intentional? Do you think that's something that might be corrected quite quickly?
Maybe
it's intentional.
The old one joining the new Victrix?
Yeah.
It's a bit weird, though, because if you think about it, you can't have the new and the old datasheet, but you can join old Victrix Honor Guard with new Victrix Honor Guard, which kind of doesn't make sense, but obviously the Victrix Guard are within the Manius datasheet. I don't know. I just automatically assumed you couldn't do that because it's like you've got 2 profiles of Victrix Honor Guards. Sorry, we're going like super deep into Ultramarine stuff here, but it's cool. And Kato Sicarius got a new datasheet, but I'm not convinced it's better than the old one. And then we've also got the new Manius, who, depending on the points, could be really good. I mean, if he comes in at a character that's priced for a 6 wound character, I could see him being really good, but if he's priced relative to the old Manius, could be not amazing. If you think Victrix Guard are like 40 points per model, which would put the new Manius around 110, 120, but he wouldn't have a 4-up Feel No Pain. So, obviously a lot easier to kill Manius once he doesn't have a 4-up Feel No Pain. He just loses half his wounds. So I'd be really interested if Manius comes in at like 80 points, then he would be your +1 CP generator for 80-point character that could join anything. That would be really, really interesting. And by that, I mean quite powerful and something you would definitely look into playing.
80 points.
Yeah. So if you took, for example, Manius and then 3 of the new Victrix Honor Guard, that would be roughly 200 points, which is what the Manius and 2 Victrix Honor Guard are now. So I could see GW having that logic in their head of being like that kind of roughly is the same because you lose the Feel No Pain. Obviously, it's like really big. Sure. So, yeah.
There was an interesting discussion going on, and I've heard it in a few places. When people have, when the game is quite balanced and coming up with interesting rules, it's very hard for us as a community to be happy. There's this deep set need to complain about something, always. Yes. And, the classic nerd rage. And this is a very weird time for me because the game is about as cool and balanced as I think it's ever been. And seeing all of these Space Marine rules come out, now I see the pattern that this... No, actually, I don't think you know what I'm going to say here. I am going to say that I think it's awesome that Space Marines are continuously getting new rules that are actually competitive without being broken. And still, a lot of people are complaining, saying that's not very fair on other armies. But I actually don't mind. This is about the first time I've seen Space Marines get a chunk of rules that are either, normally they're either very lore-heavy rubbish rules, or they make one thing really broken and it becomes Iron Hand, Leviathan, Dreadnoughts. Yeah, something nonsense like that. This is the first time I've seen them make a string of good releases, and I don't mind that being for their flagship faction. I actually think that is pretty awesome that someone could come into competitive play and play 3-4 different Space Marine chapters competitively. Quite cool.
I've been advising like my old clients and people that would ask me questions, from day to day, what faction should I get into? I've just been saying, honestly, just get into Space Marines. If you look at the Games Workshop model that they've been pushing, obviously they've had Space Marine 2. It seems like every mega box for the edition is kind of a Space Marine versus XYZ sort of thing. So I'm assuming that it's going to... I think that maybe they've already said it's going to be Space Marines versus like Orcs or something like that for the new edition maybe. So it seems like that is obviously the poster child. There's a huge amount of IP behind Space Marine, and I take it, if the Amazon show comes out, that would also be Space Marine related, probably Space Marine related, right? Or, kind of based around. And it is really positive that they're releasing stuff that isn't broken. I mean, Raven Guard maybe is a little bit too high, I would say. But once again, it really depends on your terrain format. And I think that's more just a terrain format problem rather than anything. Because I do think they are the strongest on UKTC, for example. But, there are ways to play against them here. So, yeah, I've been advising clients to move to Space Marines because I think you're never going to get bored. And you can kind of get the core of it. And then you can buy, you know, however you buy your models, 3D print them or whatever, a collection of 12 to 20 total models, and you've got another, you've got a Blood Angels army, right? Which is it always keeps it fresh, and Space Marines is effectively like 8 factions or something, so you're always going to get like something every other month, basically. It feels like so. Yeah,
You know what I really like, Dave? Somehow they've managed to make rules that look so strong on paper. Like you read Ethan Shan's datasheet, you read that stupid White Scar Bike guy,
yeah,
and you think, wow, those are such powerful rules datasheets. But on the table, they feel fine.
yeah. They don't move very
Amazing.
fast.
On the table, it's like,
Yeah,
okay, you know what? My army is awesome, but it's actually balanced. Fantastic
yeah.
job.
And I think that's largely is because actually the defensive profiles, how Games Workshop has balanced offensive profiles versus defensive profiles, has actually been based on Space Marines in general, right? Like 4 wounds, 2 wounds, 3 up save, toughness 4 model, right? And I think a lot of the stuff in the game just enjoys killing that, right? Like I'm sure I think everyone enjoys killing Space Marines, right? Like you get a squad of like 5 Incursors, you just like blend them with something, you're like, oh, that was satisfying,
Oh,
or
it
like,
is not as
you know,
satisfying as killing T3 one wound models. Oh my gosh, when you play against other Eldar players and pick up 3 units, oh, fantastic. Scoop them off the board.
yeah. So yeah, no, I feel like Black Templars are in a really good spot. I don't think I would be surprised if they had any changes. They've got their downsides and they've got their upsides, and I think that's they're really really balanced. I'm looking forward to the new Gladius detachment, I think, which is maybe coming out around WCW time. So
Okay,
that'd be interesting.
that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense. Dave, you know what? I think we should do like we're talking about balance now. I think people are
Mhm.
locked into this balance discussion. I feel like we should do that before the WCW
Yeah.
discussion. What do you
Sure.
think, Dave?
I was keen to talk about, maybe since we're talking about factions, which
Yeah,
factions do you think needed a little bit of revive?
like a
Because
refresh.
yeah, you know how in specific, how we've got like how Games Workshop releases the detachments and stuff like that
Hmm.
periodically. Like we had Grotmus, obviously, which brought a load of new playability into the game, right? For factions that haven't had something in a while. But I was wondering, are there some factions you
I've
thought
got
that we
one.
could do with something? What do you think?
I've got one, man. I've been thinking about this for a little bit of time now.
Okay.
So my actual first army that I ever got a model for was Grey Knights.
Yeah.
Right. And Grey Knights, I've read the omnibus 3 times.
Oof.
And Grey Knights have normal power armor, walk around, run around, hide behind cover, and if they
Nice.
work really hard as a group, they can teleport.
Sweet.
Or if they wear these Inceptor jump packs, they can teleport. If they're coming from their ship, the Terminators can teleport.
Hmm.
For some reason in 10th edition, Grey Knights changed from an army that hits super hard in combat, has cool psychic powers that do mortal wounds and loads of tricks,
Hmm.
and have become an army that's an uppy downy army with 2
Mm.
plus armor saves across the board. And because they've gone uppy downy and 2 plus armor save on power armor models, they've locked themselves in to an army that has to be low damage output and
Hmm.
very, very expensive.
Mm.
I don't mind the expensive if you also get really good psychic powers plus good melee output,
Mm.
almost like the Imperium's Thousand Sons, who prefer
Mm.
punching rather than shooting. That
Mhm.
was a direction the Grey Knights have been in the past, and
Mm.
all of a sudden, 10th edition has lost that. I
Mhm. Yeah.
would love a rewrite of the GK datasheets
Mhm.
and give them a 3 plus armor save. Make them
Mm. Ooh.
have different weapons in the unit. Give them a hammer, the falchion, the sword,
Okay.
halberd. Give them slightly different rules. Make the hammer 3 damage. Then,
If
mm,
I was going to say, but if you can only make a detachment, I
mm.
would love a detachment that got rid of Uppy Downy and just gave them like speed on the board. Call it like, I don't know, Planetfall Lockdown, where they can't deep strike or arrive or teleport, or like, like something like that. And then but make them harder hitting melee and a little bit faster on the board. Maybe
They
that'd
don't.
be cool.
They don't need to be fast. This is the thing.
Okay.
Grey Knights are not fast. It's only the Inceptors that are meant to be fast.
Mm.
So I don't mind it, man. Like it can be like T-Sun's fast, right? They're
Okay.
not necessarily a very fast army, but they have 1 or 2 tricks where Grey Knights have always had. You can teleport one of your units if you get this really tough spell off, and move your unit to a different part of the board. But they've been a very kind of clunky mechanical army with really, really cool rules when they do engage.
Mhm.
And they've lost it in the codex, which
Get
hurts
those
my soul.
paladins back in.
Dude, yeah, give only the Terminator models 2+ armor saves, please.
Yeah, I can see that. I like that.
Where are you at, Dave?
I've got an interesting one, so I'm keen to hear your take on this one. I think personally, I think Imperial Guard needs a bit of life coming back into it.
Okay.
And I think the Codex has been out for quite a long time now, and Combined Arms has been the dominant way of playing from the beginning of the edition to still now, and that's a pretty long time when you think about it, right? Like, people are playing the same thing, and I know that a lot of players, including the best card players in the world, are all kind of bored of it, and I think that really says something when a lot of the top players as well are also like, I would rather play something else, maybe not because it's just like necessarily stronger, but because it's actually just not as boring, because I've had so many games on it. Like, Combined Arms Regiment is part and parcel the same from when the edition launched to basically now, right? So, I mean, if you've been playing that for, I don't know what, coming up 2 years now, you're probably like, this is getting a little bit stale, right?
Nothing's changed.
I would love to. I don't think they've really explored like the Sentinel datasheet very well. That was something that really got missed on like in any of the detachments, and it got nerfed in the datasheet. And I just don't really understand why they kind of underpowered them. I think Sentinels are cool personally. Like these like Star Wars style, like walkers. I like those. So I would like to see something based around that. Maybe bring back the Swift as the Wind sort of style where you can get +2 to move on the ground, and then you have a bunch of enhancements for melee, because that's something that Guard obviously doesn't have a lot of, and you can nerf Bulgrin in that detachment too. I don't care, but make it something that's completely different from what we currently have. I think that would be cool as well.
For sure. I also wonder if they could do a Thousand Suns detachment.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
like
mind that.
as
I
well.
mean, I've just done Grey Knights and Thousand Suns, like the same army, just separated by chaos and swords. Thousand Suns and Eldar, but Eldar have the advantage of having multiple detachments that are quite cool. Thousand Suns don't have that. They really are locked into Grand Coven now, as it is, because all of the rules have been nerfed around, and you need Grand Coven for the reliability with your Kabbalistic rituals. There's a little bit of a balance issue here, but percentage win rate wise, which is the most useless statistic in a balanced meta, shows them to be perfectly fine depending on which week and which narrative you want to push. Thousand Suns have a very bad detachment from their Grotmus detachment, and they don't really have anything at the moment. So something cool that is also competitive, kind of like the Space Marine detachments, might be a good one to give them a bit of life without having to dive in and give very strong buffs to them.
Yep. And I think one other one I would just pick up on this last point here, because I'm sure everyone playing every single faction would be good, but I don't think Chaos Demons have really had anything for a long time, and maybe not the detachments, because I think Chaos Demons have some of the coolest detachments. Like Plague Legion, Khorne is awesome, Shadow Legion's cool, but I do think the points need to get shifted, just shifted maybe. I mean, down a little bit, 5% maybe, give them 100 points, but then shifted across the board somewhere, because we see the only, not the only successful, but the majority of successful lists are these kind of 5 greater demons, 6 greater demons, and people don't enjoy playing against 4 or 5 Chaos Knights, right? So I'm pretty sure they don't enjoy playing against 6 greater demons as well, right? It creates all these kind of skews. So I would like to see demons get a little bit of love. I don't think they've gotten a lot of love for ages. I haven't played them in such a long time. But there's so much cool detachments there. Like, you could make for each like specific god detachment, like Slaanesh, Nurgle, Khorne, you could make the battle line unit for those and one adjacent unit just a reasonable amount cheaper. That would incentivize people for playing those other detachments, right? Like Plague Bearers or, Bloodletters, for example, and maybe Blood Crushers in that detachment, or Skull Cannons, cheaper again. That's just me.
I feel like they keep trying with Chaos Demons. They keep adding layers and layers of the detachment level rules to them. And you know what? They've got really cool rules. I don't think, demon players have a problem with maybe competitiveness, but actually they've got pretty cool rules behind them. It's a tough one. It's a really tough one to balance. It's kind of like
I
trying
think
to balance Death Watch, you know? You can keep pumping them up with stuff, but ultimately they are what they are. I know you love Death Watch.
it's so bad. They haven't been pumping Deathwatch up at all, mate. I don't know what you're talking about.
Death Watch get buffs every single update. I know it doesn't make too much of a difference, but genuinely,
They have the opposite problem. Their detachment's bloody garbage.
I
Their
think
data sheets are terrible.
I think Death Watch are the best army in the game. I don't know what you're saying. Like I think they're underrated on this podcast, mate.
They are definitely underrated on this podcast, considering I have them at one of the lowest possible.
Yeah.
There we go. So I guess maybe we should talk about we've talked about a little bit in terms of what we think should get buffed a little bit, but that kind of contrasts nicely against what we've seen at WCW, right? So we've obviously got WCW this year. It feels like WCW's in a really interesting place. Balance aside, I would love to see it move out of Atlanta, and I think it's preventing a lot of people from going.
Good point.
So just put it out there. Please make a WCW in UK, maybe, for example, considering that is obviously where it's based. So anyway.
Yeah, not a bad idea at all. I mean, you know, UK is probably the best center point. I know Americans will hate to hear that, but it's a tough one because you want it to be in America because the biggest player base is in America. But
Sure, yeah.
if you combine all of Europe and UK, I don't know if it's so different, and it would introduce a lot more diversity. You probably get a nicer place to play as well.
Let me know if some listener has the statistics. Could you let us know the total player base in USA, UK, and Europe combined? If I would love to know those
Innes
three.
will know. I'm pretty sure. Innes, help us.
I would love to know what the actual number of players for that is, because I'm really curious as to like how and over time, if you've got that, I would love to know how the markets are changing for that, of course. Yep. But anyway, we've got WCW, and the most represented faction, if you count it as a super faction, is Space Marines, of course. I mean, it's pretty hard not to be, right? But aside from that, the second most popular, and most popular by a semi-reasonable degree. The largest jump is from second to third here, is Eldari, of course.
Yep. Which is super interesting, Dave, right? Because in Coventry, there was a massive drop-off in the representation of Eldari. But now we see at a higher player skill level, we're seeing a lot more Eldari creep back in. And we've got a few really good players. I mean, I'm not sure if Nick is playing. I know Liam's on Eldari, but I'm not sure if anyone else is. No.
There's 35 other people on there.
There are. Obviously, we can't just say the people in the highest ELO levels, because there are a lot of people who don't have high ELO who are coming to this event, yet they are phenomenal players. What I will say, Dave, before we do any discussion, here is my hottest of hot takes. I will not delete this if I'm wrong. Anyone can come back to me at any point in my life and remind me of the outcome of this prediction.
I'm writing this one down, boys.
Because this prediction is that Eldar will have a less than 50% win rate at this event.
Oh, that is a bold prediction, mate.
I'm going in.
I'm going
less than 50%.
I'm going to disagree with that one. And I think if I had to bet on a single person to win this event, it would obviously be Liam on Eldari.
I think even with Liam getting 100%, I think Eldar will have less than a 50% win rate. I may have to exclude him from the statistics for the sake of my dignity, but I think Eldari, excluding Liam, are going to be less than 50% at this event. And I also think that Liam is not in a good position to win it, despite his player skill advantage over normal humans.
Where is all this coming from?
No, I'll say this because I think Eldar, at very high player skill levels, when they play against high player skill players, I think they have multiple matchups which are not positive. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how these players, Eldar players, negotiate a situation where everyone they play is good, which is not what normally happens in tournaments.
That's an interesting one. I mean, you could say the same for every faction, right? Not you don't necessarily play against the best opponents every faction, right? But I think the GW boards I think the GW boards are quite good for Eldari, though. By the way, because they have reasonably good thick ruins that you can 1-inch off at quite a frequent amount. So
I don't agree with that, Dave, because
Really?
I've been looking at the GW boards a lot. The actual wall placement on the boards does leave you a little more vulnerable than UKTC maps. Obviously, in WTC,
Hard to beat UKTC on
yeah,
the 1-inch factor. I mean,
but really, we've got UKTC, WTC, and GW. UKTC is the best for the 1-inch thing.
yeah,
GW, you are kind of vulnerable if you jump onto the plate. And
yeah.
WTC, you have the 1-inch engagement rule, special rule. So I actually think Eldar are stronger on UKTC than they are on GW personally. I think the movement pathways are very good on UKTC for playing out of transports. Which lets you get firing lanes, which you can't do outside of. I think there are 2 really good GW maps, which both are not offensive; they're defensively good. Which is map number 1 and the maps with the vertical hammer and anvil
Yeah.
thing.
Counterpoint though, I think move blocking on GW is significantly better for Eldari, and the positions where you move block, you also naturally screen and contest objectives, which I think is like the trifecta of Eldari just being able to sling stuff away at people.
I'm gonna disagree with you.
Okay.
Because
I'm
I have
above 50% and Vic is below 50%.
I've played around a lot on these GW boards. The pathways are not good if your opponent knows what they're doing. And I'm telling you, Eldari are going below 50%. And you know what? If I am right, I want everyone to message me and tell me, Vic, you were right. Because I need to hear that once in my life. Because everyone goes silent on the rare moments that I am right.
I see.
And I want to be reminded, Dave. And I will bring it up at the start. You know, when we say, hello, welcome to the Fireside 40K podcast, Vic was right.
Yeah. I will. I'll put that as the title. Vic was right. Or transversely, Vic was completely wrong.
That's
and
possible.
Shouldn't ever talk about Eldari. It's going to be the title if you're wrong.
It happens rarely, but it could happen here. What would be awful is if it's 50%. Where do we sit? Who's right? Who's wrong?
Well, it's got to be exactly 50.00, mate. Because if it's 50.01, I'm claiming that. I do think it's really interesting, though. You know, obviously, people take out time, they allocate a chunk of time to go to WCW and play and participate and practice, and I do think it's telling that apart from Space Marines, which is kind of cheating because it's got a bunch of that's 8 different factions in there, Eldari, the most amount of people out of any faction have chosen Eldari to go with as their perfect balance between strength and comfortability and ability to win. There's no getting around that people have chosen to fly across the world to play WCW, a tournament they practice a lot for, and they've chosen Eldari as their front runner.
Okay. Can I say one other thing? I know we're spending a lot of time on
really?
Eldari, but I will say that, and I love you, Jack Harpster and Innes. Both of you guys have been playing Eldari at these tournaments, winning these, doing really, really well against with a big gap in player skill. And then WCW comes around and Jack's like, oh, it'll be too easy to win this with Eldari. So I'm going to take Sisters, which in my opinion have a better overall matrix at high player skill level. And then Innes is obviously taking something else. Innes does bounce around with a lot of stuff. But if these players had taken Eldar to WCWC, that's the data which I'm really sad that we're not going to get, because that would have been the spicy data.
Okay, I don't mean to start any controversy or drama, but did Jack actually say it would be too easy if he took Eldari?
Yeah, he said, if I want my best chance of winning the tournament, I would have taken Eldari, but now, let's take Sisters instead. And I disagree with that particular line of logic.
That's interesting, yeah.
Spice.
So we've also got, what I think is really interesting is Admix. So actually, we played against a scrim against Yokai. I played against Matt Tanker, the WTC champion. Misplayed and got a 515. He was playing Admech, and obviously Admech are really, really strong, and I think Admech work really well on these boards as well. So I think the chickens work really well on the big terrain plates, and that's why you see them do very well, I think, in WTC here as well, actually. And I think Admech, I think a brilliant Admech player definitely could win the tournament. I'm not sure how they do against Eldari, because they are very prone to getting move blocked here as well. But they do.
That's a positive matchup for the Admech. I can say that one guaranteed. That is a positive matchup for the Admech. The way the momentum of that game goes, it should be Admech favored at equal player skill. So yeah, I
I
would
think the
definitely.
5-up invuln is really good against Eldari, for sure.
Yeah, it's just hard to get through everything. And the output profiles are good that AdMech have into the Eldari, and they will get to grips with them eventually. I think a
They're
lot of
fast.
AdMech players are, they can get a little bit stuck with not being aggressive enough when they should be. And using they can get stuck behind walls very, very easily. But actually, AdMech is in such a powerful position. If you utilize your resources a little bit more aggressive than what feels comfortable, I think you actually get through a lot of armies in a singles meta.
Interesting. And then we've got, this is prepared by Vasil, by the way. We've got World Eaters and Death Guard. I think, no surprise, World Eaters is popular. I think a lot of people probably have been doing well with them over the last couple of months and have decided, okay, I've been playing this a lot, a couple of months. It is interesting to point out the meta is pretty balanced, right?
Yeah.
4 Death Watch players, don't know what the fuck these people are doing. We've got Thousand Suns and Grey Knights, 2 factions that Vic actually talked about, needing a bit of a refresh as the lowest end here.
Okay.
And then we've got kind of
Emperor's
11
Children there?
Templars. Emperor's
bottom?
Children is at 9, but
Okay, pretty low.
interesting enough, John is playing Emperor's Children. And
Oh, is
Liam
he?
on our team rates Emperor's Children extremely high as well. And so I think Emperor's Children are just a really good faction, and I think they're just underrepresented.
I think they're great on GW as well, personally.
Yeah,
I think
I just think they're really good in general.
the combination of staging with still firing lines for the Noise Marines, it actually adds up really nicely because you have very small unit size, very low unit count, but that is perfect for tucking into the spaces you need to on GW rather than bigger units.
One thing that was interesting is we've got 21 Imperial Knight players, and then coincidentally we've got where is Chaos Knight players? 12 Chaos Knight players. So almost half the people are playing Chaos Knights compared to Imperial Knights. That's really fascinating, I thought. Because CK is obviously this kind of knighty, like 3 despoiler type build. That's kind of where it's landed. And I guess you're feeling a lot more comfortable if you're expecting Eldari, if you've got like the -1 damage knights with a wider meta, a wider kind of array of knights, right? I mean, maybe that matchup's just terrible anyway, but lots of little baby knights and 1 big knight, it's going to be better into Eldari, I would imagine as well.
Yeah, nice.
So I thought that one was really interesting, where the kind of both knights have balanced out. And I think Orcs are very, very strong at the moment as well, with the 20 boy and Gaz unit. I think that unit is incredible. And on some GW boards, I think that unit can just go the whole distance, which is really fascinating. We've seen Drakari only have 12 players, and we've also got Astra Militarum Guard only at 12 as well. So Guard in the bottom half, which is interesting. But with a couple of notable players are back on that for the same. We've got Gustavo, I think John is playing it as well. And
we've got Wesley as well.
And Wesley's also playing as well. So I think both, Guard could be a faction here that's underrepresented, but reality is probably quite good. I definitely think Guard is a faction where it's much better than its play representation. That's
definitely. When you get a good player on Guard who's experienced, a specialist with it, I think they're strong. But you can say that about a lot of factions. But Guard really does work well when you're trying to win a game of Warhammer.
Yeah, I think it's just a bit more obvious when you're against a good Guard player, because there can be quite a contrast in that one. So WCW, who would you have to, if you?
Dude,
I mean, it's kind of impossible to bet on anyone, right?
I'm looking through all the pools here. Actually, you know what? We have got some good Eldar players. We've got Folger and Ben Jones. Got Andy Quaz-Cohen from UK on Necrons. Interesting. I'm looking through these top ELOs. We've got Innes he's the highest ELO in his pod in Chaos Space Marines, and then the next 3 highest ELOs are all Eldar players. So we'll see if he gets through those. Let's see if he gets through a few of those. Nice. Nice, yeah. I mean, it's got to be Liam VSL for me. I think he's my number 1 pick, but let's say that it's a challenge for him in the meta. Let's say that, my predictions that Eldar 50% win rate even for Liam are true, and we pick someone else. What about you, Dave? What are you going for?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to pick Liam. I picked Liam to win LPT before I
picked Liam before me.
Yeah. So tough luck, mate. But no, you can pick Liam as well. There's one of your players there. One thing that I think WCW teaches you is that it's so hard to bet on one player. There are so many good players there, and your path can be really good. We had Custodes winning it last year, right? Which, I mean, who would have predicted that? I mean, people didn't even have Custodes in the top half of good armies, right? So I think it's honestly pretty wide open. I could see a good Orc player going really far. To be frank, I mean, these Orc players must just be feasting on these Eldari players, right? Like,
Dude,
that's all guess.
we can't make the list of things that feast on Eldar any longer here. It's only backing up my statement. I'm going to go for Innis with this one. Actually, I'm going to look at it. Innis has gone against the meta. People are not going to be prepared for it, even though they probably will know the rules for it. He is going to duck and dive any matchup that he can't win and come through as our WCW champion.
Hell yeah. I would love to see that. And we've had Innis in the group coaching for the Fireside Discord a couple of times.
Yeah, he's pretty active on our Discord. I love that.
Yeah, dude. Our Discord's the best. A really cool hobby channel. Hobby channel is one of my favorite channels, by the way. I mean, if it's not Eldari, do you have a favorite channel as well, Vic?
Dude, I like the competitive talk channel,
Yeah.
which is, we have some non-competitive
Great answer.
channels like Wordle, Imperial Knights, Chaos Knights, but we also have competitive channels, and competitive talk is the key channel in that. It's pretty good chat.
Yeah, it's the overall one for everyone, which is nice. Look how far I've fallen from grace. That hobby channel is one of my favorite channels.
Oh, it's fantastic, Dave. I remember when you got very excited with a Rogel Dawn that you painted. You love that Rogel Dawn, and that's when it all began.
Dude, that's coming out, man. This weekend on Sunday.
Let's go.
Oh, dude, and my Vanquishers, 3 Flamers.
Yes.
Really, dude. Okay, cool. We've kind of covered a lot of stuff here, man. We've kind of done the ITT, we've done which factions need to refresh, WCW overall. Kind of, what are your thoughts about the game in total right now? We always talked about wanting to complain about something, but if we look back at the start of the edition, obviously it's a completely different place, right? You've kind of touched on already, the stuff that is being released seems to be a lot better managed in terms of its power balance. So is there anything, I guess the question is there anything you're looking forward to before the end of the edition? Because I've kind of already in the mindset of like 11th edition, so to speak, but is there anything you really want to see released or fixed before the end of the edition?
Right. So historically, the end of any edition is when things just go crazy. But I am looking forward to that not happening this time. I think that we're going to get through this perfectly fine with no issues, a few extra cool rules here. Probably we're going to have a situation where Sisters, T-Sons, and Eldar are all nerfed at the same time, which I think will bring a lot of happiness to the general community. And I got tagged in a few posts, which were, there is only one player in the world who plays all 3 of these armies, and they tagged me. So fantastic, but I'm hoping there are more players out there who can be upset with me.
I don't think Sisters will get nerfed personally. I think you're in a really good spot here. I would like to see a couple of things get a little bit of changes, but honestly, nothing too big here. I think
I was doing a thought exercise with this. A lot of times when in 40k, you can look at it and say, okay, which army can I take, and I'm going to probably be able to win a tournament because of the army? I can't find one. At the moment, whatever army I choose, even if I had every single model in the game available to me, unlimited time to practice, I think I would only win not because of the faction, but because of me.
Yeah. Well, there is actually an answer to that. It's Deathwatch. And there we go, guys. That's today's episode. Really enjoyed it. Good luck to all the people participating at WCW. We've got a WCW chat in our Discord as well. A bunch of our guys from the Discord participating there, and everything is going well. There we go. Thanks, guys, for listening. Let us know your thoughts down below, and like, comment, subscribe. It's been a pleasure having you with us again, and check out 40kfireside.com. Have a good one.